Hey, it's Leah, host of the Managing Made Simple podcast. I started working with Adam and his podcasting business accelerator program because I had a new podcast and I wanted to grow my show. So I looked on the podcast app under podcast growth or something like that. I found his show. I started listening and was instantly hooked. I loved the episode where he does the audit with folks. He gives so much value. And so I said, I got to work with this guy. And I reached out, we started the program, and immediately it became transformational, both in building a quality lead magnet, in really making clear offers that connect to my audience, that really give people exactly what they need as they go on that listener journey. And basically by listening to his show and becoming a client, I saw, wow, his method works. And he is so fun to work with, so awesome. Thank you, Adam, so much. I've just loved working with you.
Pod Pals, your buddy Adam here. And before we dive into this week's episode, I've got an awesome Pod Pal Zoom party coming here for you in a minute. But I want to take about 60 seconds to get you in the loop on something new that I'm doing with my online business academy for podcasters. So I want to kind of pull you aside here and just let you know that I'm seeing a lot of podcasters and online entrepreneurs really stressing out right now because you aren't making meaningful income. It's been a little bit of a slower summer for a lot of people. They've seen an income dip, and they're noticing that what has worked before with traditional marketing strategies is not working right now. So this academy is all about helping podcasters create 5 to 10K regular repeating monthly income via a podcast first marketing strategy. So I know a lot of people dream of, I just want to do my podcast. I want to build my email list. I want to connect with people. I don't want to stress out about social media and paid marketing strategies so much. That's what this online business academy for podcasters is all about. Now, I've got a ton of info in the outro. I've used up my 60 seconds here. Get lots of details there, links in the show notes. But know this, I'm capping the membership at 50 total podcasters. I'm going to open the doors for registration on October 1st. All right, all info is in the show notes. Go grab it. Now, let's move on to episode number 505 of Podcasting Business School. What's up, Pod Pals? It's your buddy Adam, and you are listening to Podcasting Business School. It's the show where I teach podcasters how to love their podcast like a hobby and build it like a business. This is a very special Pod Pals Zoom party, the August 2024 edition. Very excited to have all my Pod Pals here live with me to hang out. For all of you that are tuning in on the show, excited to have you. If you want to show up to the September Pod Pals Zoom party, head on over to my website, podcastingbusiness.school. There's a big glowing freebie button. Click on that, and you can't miss it. Pod Pals Zoom party. Get on the calendar. It's the most fun a group of podcasters can have on a Tuesday at 2:03 p.m. Central Standard Time, is what I've always heard. All right. So today we are talking, the topic of the day is 3 strategies to keep your current podcast subscribers engaged and listening to your show. How to keep your current listeners listening. This is a hugely overlooked aspect of podcast growth because we don't want to be out there scooping up new listeners with our marketing strategies and our social media and all of our optimization with keywords, but have the exact same amount or even more leaving out the back door because we aren't engaging them. We aren't keeping our current subscribers. It's just like, online business. It's easier to keep current customers than it is to go out and get new customers. So we're going to make sure we're keeping our current listeners subscribed and happy and engaged. All right. So that's just thinking in those terms. I think that's the first win of the day is like, oh yes, I really need to be focused on keeping the base that I've got and not losing them as I go out to market and find new people. So I got 3 strategies to think about. And then we'll engage in a little bit of banter here in the Pod Pals. So the first strategy for maintaining current subscribers, I want you to really think about what we're doing when we're marketing. Like a new episode comes out, instead of just promoting it, think about promoting it to your current subscribers. All right. Because if it works for current subscribers, it'll work for new subscribers that are curious, that are maybe you post on Instagram and somebody searches a hashtag and they see that and that's their first exposure to your brand. But more likely, it's people that are already in your world. So we have to focus that social media marketing, especially with like the intent of giving them that appetizer. They've already listened to 400 of your 500 episodes. Why do they want to listen to episode 501? Give them the appetizer that really entices them to plug into this next episode. So think when we're doing social media marketing, especially think about that. Think through that lens, like how is the person that's already a fan, or maybe they've taking a break from my show, how am I going to get that person and pull them back in and get them re-engaged? All right. And I always recommend thinking with my 72-hour rule on social media. So a quick review of that. New episode goes live. I want 5 unique promotional assets within 72 hours of that episode going live. So if like I release on Tuesday mornings, I focus on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I'm going to promote that episode in 5 unique and spicy ways on social media or via my newsletter. And the newsletter is another thing to think about. Like these are people that probably found you because of your podcast. At least that's how it is for me. And they jump on your email list. So with that weekly newsletter, how do we keep those current listeners engaged? What are we telling them? Like my strategy with my newsletter is to kind of go on a little tangential deep dive. That's not the exact same thing as the podcast episode itself. It is a like if it's kind of like if you like this, then you're going to love the episode. So when I'm typing out my newsletter, I'm like, all right, this is what the episode's about. What can I kind of go off on as a sidetrack, but still related? And if they like that sidetrack, they're really going to understand and want to dive into the current episode. So think about that with your email marketing as well. So that's strategy number 1. Strategy number 2, we are currently doing, this is a great example. Give your listeners opportunities to be a part of your show. Making your audience a part of your show is always a good idea in any way, shape, or form. Unless they're on there talking about how bad your show is, then that's probably not a good idea. Don't let those people on. All right. We have the Pod Pals gatekeeper doesn't let you shall not pass. It's like Gandalf or whatever. So, but, anytime you can have them come on, there's a few different ways. Obviously, what we're doing here, a community style episode, Pod Pals Zoom parties. I love having my listeners on to the show, fellow podcasters. And when listeners are a part of the show, they become a part of the show. Like they see themselves like, this is like, I'm a part of this community now. So they're more loyal to the show, more likely they've engaged with you directly. They've, engaged in question and answer back and forth via Zoom or whatever, like we're doing today. That person's more likely to hang out. And when they're thinking like, should I listen to that podcast or this other one? You're probably going to win if you've had them on your show in some way, shape, or form. Podcast audits, the way I do my coaching style episodes, same thing. But a real sneaky, effective way to do this is what I call my SpeakPipe Audio CTA. CTA is a call to action. SpeakPipe is just a website, speakpipe.com, speak, S-P-E-A-K, pipe, P-I-P-E.com. It's an audio recording platform. So you can put a call to action out in your email marketing, on your social media, on your show, and go, hey, I'm going to do a question and answer episode for episode 400. Use the link in the show notes to go to my SpeakPipe page and just submit audio with your question, and I'll answer it on the show. Make sure you mention your name, where you're from. So it's like, hey, this is Jane from Idaho, and I've always wondered about intermittent fasting. What are your thoughts on that? So like it's easy to do. They can record and re-record until they're happy with it and then submit it. There's no video. It's just audio only. It's free for you and for them. So not a lot of negatives there. So Q&A episode submission, testimonials. You always hear me popping testimonials at the beginning of my Tuesday episodes. Like that is a testimonial for my programs, products, and services, but just other listeners hearing results. Those people all started as listeners of my show. Again, it's making your audience a part of the show. And another cool thing to do that some of you might like, I know a lot of podcasters do like episode feedback or adding to the conversation. So I could say like, oh, after each episode, I could say, hey, go to the link in the show notes. If you have any feedback on this episode, drop me a voice note and I'll air it in a future episode. So, but you'll have to like mention like, hey, I just listened to episode 503 and I really thought the conversation was interesting. Here's my take on what happened. Like you have to give them like, it's got to be 30 seconds or 45 seconds. And you play a few of those. There's one of my favorite podcasts called The Minimalists. They do this all the time and they'll just have 5 minutes of just feedback from their listeners on previous episodes. And it's super cool because their listeners are now a part of their show. People listen, like I always listen to the outro because I'm like, let's hear what people have to say about other episodes. And I'm thinking like, I want to go check out that episode. I missed it. So, and it's not even an episode recommendation. It's just commentary about the episode. So that could work for podcasters that aren't trying to sell anything too. If you're just trying to get engagement and grow your brand and get your community involved. So those are a few ways you can use that SpeakPipe Audio CTA. So that's strategy number 2. Give your listeners opportunities to be a part of your show. Strategy number 3, simple, 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 but we have to ask our audience what they want any chance you get to connect with them. 2 specific things, like I want an alarm bell, like the trigger goes off, like that tripwire. Anytime somebody emails you or DMs you, anytime you get an email from anybody or a DM and they're like, hey, I really enjoy the show. Here's a question I have. Answer their question and then go, hey, what's your number one pain point right now? Like, what are you really struggling with? Or what episode do you need to hear from me? What topic that I haven't talked about would you love for me to drop an episode on? Now that I'm 500 plus episodes deep, more likely than not, I've got one on and I'll just send it to them like, hey, here you go. But for those of you that are newer, like if you're 50 episodes or less, 100 episodes or less, asking this question can just be golden. Like from a content creation perspective, they're going to tell you exactly what they need from you. If you don't have an episode on that, that's the next episode. Great example. Several hundred episodes ago, I had one of my longtime listeners DM me on Instagram, and she was like, I'm really struggling right now. Do you have any episodes that are just kind of like motivation for podcasters that are thinking about quitting? Next episode, I'm like, oh my God, this is people need this. And now that's on my recurring episode list once per year. I have a note on my calendar. I must create at least one episode that's about, not quitting as a podcaster. I have to have that as a recurring theme at least every, 50 to 100 episodes, because that's a thing in podcasting. Like 80% of podcasters don't make it past episode 10. This is an important topic. So listen to them. And if you aren't, I know the thing that some of you are going to say, bro, I don't get the emails. I don't get any DMs. Nobody messages me. Valid point. Let's go out and initiate some engagement. One of my favorite ways to do this, go to any social media platform that's kind of your jam, LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, whatever. Find the last 10 people that followed you and message them. You message them, and not like AI bot message them. You message them. My favorite thing to do on Instagram is just leave the voice note. Hey, it's me. It's your buddy Adam. And I'll go, hey, I'll be like, hey, James, this is Adam from Podcasting Business School. Just want to say thanks for following me. I'm always really motivated to create content that serves you. What's your major pain point right now in the podcasting space? Send me a note back. I'll make sure that I either create an episode on that. If I already have one, I'll send you the link. Thanks for following me. Boom. And they know it's me. They know I record it in real time. I usually mention like the day. I'm like, hey, happy Tuesday. This is your buddy Adam from Podcasting Business School. So they know I just took the time to do that and engage them. You will get feedback. This is always like 100% positive experience. It's like 99.9% positive experience. Sometimes somebody has a bad day and they're like, this is weird. I don't like you messaging me. But I think I've only heard that happening once. I recommend this to like all my pod pals. So try it out. You'll get positive feedback. They'll be like, wow, I've been listening to your show for a long time, or it's so cool that you messaged me directly and you took time to do that. I've even had people that are so confused by this. They're like, man, what AI platform did you use to create that message? Because it is so realistic. I'm like, it's my voice, man. Like I used my real voice. I pushed the button with my real thumb and I made a real message. Is that how far we are into the AI space now that people are like baffled that I created a real voice message for them, that I took time to do that? But this is one of the ways that we can stand out. So quick review, 3 strategies. Number 1, really think through the lens as we do our social media marketing of keeping our current listeners listening, marketing to them, giving them that appetizer to keep engaged and listening to the show. Strategy number 2, give your listeners an opportunity to be a part of your show with that speak pipe, call to action, community episodes, coaching style episodes. Invite your listeners onto the show. And then strategy number 3, ask them what their pain points are and serve those pain points with your content. That will always get them engaged and excited about your show. All right. That is my solo segment here. I would like to engage in some friendly Pod Pals banter, questions, thoughts, aha moments. Not sure how to pull that off type of questions. Who would like to kick things off? You can raise your real life hand. You can unmute your mic. You can. All right, James, go for it.
Hey, it's great to see you, Adam. My question, I've got several questions. I'll ask one and see what everybody else wants. I think it's important to engage listeners, but Sometimes the people that leave the show really aren't your, uh, they don't want to be on your show. They're not somebody you're trying to retain. So is there any comment or how do you, there's no way for you to really know if when somebody leaves, why they're leaving, whether you didn't engage them or they think, oh, I don't like this show at all. They shouldn't be there in the first place.
Great point. Great point. It's just like our email list. It's just like social media following. I mean, I think we can't just beat ourselves up and assume that like, I just lost an ideal listener. My downloads went down. Like maybe it is the not ideal person. Like with my show, I kind of quit talking about sponsorships and like, that's not my jam. That's not really what I talk about. I like to monetize in other ways. So I lost some people that are like, I came to this show for sponsorship talk. Or they were searching and assumed that I would talk about that because I'm talking about podcast monetization. So I can lose some potential not ideal fit listeners there, but I think that's a great point. Like I think as long as we are in our marketing brain, we're putting those appetizers out to our ideal listeners, just having that focus point and going, what does my ideal listener need to hear from me? What am I putting out there in the marketing space to keep that person engaged and not worried about, necessarily what all the metrics may say, because some people, our downloads might just go down just because it's the summer. I mean, you don't have to actually raise your hand, but mentally raise your hand if your downloads dipped a little bit this summer. Pretty much every podcaster, because the pattern disruptive school being out and pattern disruptions happen. So, so that's something to consider. But no, great question there, James. All right, anybody else want to throw their question out there? All right, Bernie, go for it, man.
So Adam, I've tried the whole call to action, inviting people to engage, and it's been crickets. And when I think about it, I listen to podcasts, and I always think about reacting to their calls to action, or in some cases, even being proactive. Quick example, this weekend, I was listening to your episode 500. So big congratulations on episode 500. It was an awesome episode. And in my mind, I thought, man, I gotta give Adam, my boy, Adam, a shout out. But you know what? I was doing yard work, man. And then I forgot about it. So I get it. Like people are doing things when they're listening to podcasts. So my question is there something provocative we can do? Like, what if I offered the listener to have a private selfie photo with you or with an Olympic champion? Or like, what can we do provocatively to get someone there to like really take notice and take action? Because so far it's been crickets.
Okay. This is really common. And I'm so glad you brought this up. So, okay. Everybody's going to have that moment where they throw a call to action out there and we get crickets back. And it's not, I mean, it's a very, very normal thing. I think a couple of things could be at play here. One, the most common error is we have too many calls to actions happening, like at the same thing where we're like, hey, get on my email list and check out these 5 episodes and this and this and this. And also send me a note on SpeakPipe. It's just kind of like a list of one of the things. So that's one potential cause. Another one is they're doing other things. The ability to multitask and listen to podcast audio is a gift and a curse. It's a gift because, we can insert ourselves into their routines throughout their day. No other type of content can do that. So that's a gift. But the curse is the call to action. They're doing the other thing. They're driving their kid to school to work. They're doing bench press. They're not going to be like, Spotter, take this. I got to go leave this voice note for Bernie over here. So that's the negative part. I think that's where the repetition really comes in. And that's why I'm a big proponent of single call to action, multiple episodes in a row, because eventually we're going to get them. But also single call to action, not just on I like to align my social media call to action, my website call to action, my newsletter call to action. Like all of it is the same call to action. I'm going to get you one of those directions. Like you're going to be checking your email. My call to action is going to pop through and then like, oh yeah, I've heard that 5 times on the show. I've been meaning to do this. So maybe do like a 4-week bolus with one little promotion call to action. And just because how many things are you exposed to marketing wise every single day? And everybody's asking you to do all this stuff. So all that is factored in as well. Now, one thing you could do is some sort of like little contest giveaway thing. Simple though, like a Starbucks gift card, an Amazon gift card. Don't give away your coaching. That's never worked for me. And it baffles my mind. I can put some fancy schmancy coaching package, like you could win the $5 million Adam Lives With You podcast coaching package and be like, that nothing. But my best giveaway I ever did with my health podcast at the end of the road there, I had two co-hosts, and one of them was this extremely good-looking Cuban man, Danny Vega, the Cuban Missile, Danny Vega, shout out. And Danny has like negative 4% body fat. We gave away a life-size cutout of Danny, and people went crazy for it. Like I had a life-size cutout made, and he like was going to autograph it. And best promotion I ever did. Giveaway, free coaching, no way. Danny Vega cutout, let's go. Merch giveaways. When I give away your mom subscribes to my podcast t-shirts, like people will just crawl across broken glass to get those things. So kind of be considerate of that, but a little promo thing that tends to work pretty well. I'll put this out there, being kind of a little aggressive, a little proactive with it. Like go out and find people that listen to your show and go, hey, you love my show, right? I need you to take 60 seconds right now and just go hit this button and record something for me. Just real quick favor. Like Bernie, you and I have that type of relationship where like, if I really need something like that, I know I could count on you. Same way back at me. And then you just start releasing it and start dripping that out there. Now people are like, oh, this is a thing. And this is the thing he's been talking about. And all of a sudden they're hearing it on the show, social proof. So something like that, where you kind of get some ringers in there going, hey, remember when I did you that favor? I'm calling in. Here you go. You owe me one back. And something like that, just to kind of get the wheels turning. So those are some thoughts around that.
Yeah, that's great.
Helpful.
That's great. Thank you.
You just got to be that aggressive person. Sometimes you're like, remember, you owe me $5, so you got to do this. All right, cool. Who else has a comment, an idea, a thought, a question, a concern that we could discuss in line with this? Yeah, Cheryl, go for it.
Just based on what you've said about the summer really dropping downloads, and I get it because people are on a routine and a schedule, and summer they're not. Is it worth going back in September and re-releasing what you've done over the summer?
Well, okay. I wouldn't necessarily do that specifically, but I don't think it's a bad idea in September. Like if you do an episode where maybe it's kind of a recap of a few of the topics you covered in the summer. Maybe it's a broader, like 7 tips for X, Y, and Z. And a few of those tips involve topics you covered in previous episodes. And then just kind of shouting out those episodes going, hey, if you missed this episode, go back to episode 374 or whatever.
Cool.
So just kind of folding it back a little bit.
Yeah.
That wouldn't hurt at all.
Yeah, I had no idea about that. And now I've have all these like what I think are great episodes that went out July and August. Like,
yeah,
nobody's listening now. What the hell?
Yeah, and your hardcore people will listen. It'll just be an erratic listening schedule, and you'll see the bolus happen in the fall where people are like, got to catch up, wham, and then all of a sudden, here we go.
Cool.
And as people binge listen, it's still, they're going to find it. It's always good to have good content. It's never a bad thing. So that's something to think about there.
Thank you.
Yes. All right, James, go for it. Go ahead and unmute yourself first, James. I don't want to miss a moment of your knowledge here.
There we go. Sorry. You talked about having those little audio files from people either sending in questions or reading testimonials or that sort of thing. And you mentioned those having that at the first. Is there an advantage to putting them at the first or at the end? What do you think is the best way to do that?
Okay, another great question, James. Intro audio is like a million times more likely to get listened to than outro audio. So we just have to keep that in mind. So if it's a testimonial, I'm doing intro because testimonials lead to business. And that's very important. So that's why it's my first audio. But there's something to be said about an interesting pattern disrupt at the end. If you create that routine where people know like, hey, I submitted audio for my thoughts on a previous episode, I'm going to listen to the outro where they have quotes or audio from people that are giving comments about previous episodes. You can kind of create a pattern and train your audience to listen to the outro. So maybe you start with just a few of them. Like James, you have a really like an inspirational show. I think that something like, what was your biggest aha moment from this episode? I would love to hear from you. What was your biggest like moment of inspiration, something that really hit your heart, or whatever, like have people speak to the emotional impact that you made on them with that episode and have them submit a 30-second insight and you put that out there. I think that could be powerful for you, especially.
Yeah, I like that. So like for my intro right now, I have a little audio on like on a well, whether it's me or an interview, I have like a 30, 45-second audio clip, and then I say, hello, it's me, and say what the title is, and then I go into my pre-recorded thing, and then I start the episode. Where would you put that? Would you put it before I even have the audio clip of what's on the thing, or would I do it after that? Or where in the intro part do you put that?
I mean, I think if you're going to do inspiration, honestly, I'd probably stick that at the end just as a starter because you got a lot of you got kind of a routine and a rhythm there, and it could disjar that a little bit. So but I would make sure at the end of your episode, as you're wrapping it up, go, hey, new segment of the show. Make sure you stay tuned. As soon as I'm going to sign off and say goodbye, but somebody that listens to the show had an aha moment or a moment of inspiration and they want to share it with you. And this is really important. Check it out. And
Well, I could even mention that in the intro, even couldn't
Yep.
I? Say
Yep.
stay, I'll stay at the very end. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, thanks.
Yep. I just give them a heads up, train them a little bit. I think it'll work. All right, Astrid, go ahead.
I just want to respond to your SpeakPipe meant that you mentioned that. I use it in my podcast as well, Travel and Work with Human Design, and I answer these questions people have about their human design chart, and it's so fun to use those clips. I kind of mix them kind of in the middle as well, so I have my intro first and then I mix them in. But I was wondering if you have a tip around how many is too much in that sense, if you do Q&A style episodes or bringing your listeners on in that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of depends on if you have a theme of it's a certain type of question, like, okay, it's a certain type of human design question, or if it's just kind of random questions. But honestly, I would just kind of go based off of what you typically shoot for in your episode length. So if they're normally 30 to 45 minutes, I would just take questions and then answer them and kind of look at the clock. All right, it's been 45 minutes, done doing Q&A, and kind of I would just gauge it off of that. And I think it's so cool that you're doing that. And honestly, I think this method is a nice alternative to those of you that don't see a coaching style episode as a fit. Like when I have people on for podcast audits and I recommend those to people, like, oh, but I'm in the therapy space and my listeners really don't want to come on and talk about why they got a divorce or why, like whatever, like all like even sometimes in health shows, people are like, I really don't want to get into the stuff that caused me to be in this health situation of whatever. So an alternative to that would be to have them submit questions. It could be, they could say, hey, this is John from Idaho, or hey, this is John, or hey, I'm a loyal listener. They can say whatever. It's not like you're shouting them out on social media or anything. And then you're answering their question and still showing off your expert positioning. Because that's the real key thing with a coaching style episode. When I do my podcast audits, is me getting to show off what I do and positioning myself as an expert and having my listener go, okay, when I'm ready to work with somebody, this is my type of person right here. So I think you can do that with what Astrid's doing and just have questions submitted. And I think that's a great way to position yourself as an expert. So I salute you, Astrid. Well done. All right. Any final questions, comments, feedback before we dive into podcaster speed dating? Anybody want to toss anything else out there last second? All right. Cool. We're going to dive into podcaster speed dating pod pals. So what's about to happen here, what we're about to do is 60 seconds each. I want you to tell us the name of your show, what it's about. I want you to let us know if you have guests, who's the ideal guest for your show. If you're looking to guest on other shows or speak on other platforms, so what can you focus on? What can you really deliver on as a speaker? And then let us know how to get a hold of you. All right. Because it's not just everybody here in the current Zoom party. It's everybody listening to the show. For those of you that are here, feel free to post whatever you want in the chat, links, websites, whatever you want, free and open. All right. So we will start with a few pod pals that have been here before. Let's kick it off with Lori Ann Murabito. Go ahead and kick things off. A professional speaker has to kick things off.
Thank you very much. I'm Lori Mirabito, and the name of my podcast is Be in Demand. It is all about how coaches, consultants, and service providers can leverage speaking opportunities as their best form of marketing. I do a lot of guesting myself. There are 20,000 speaking events that are happening today, and tomorrow there'll be another 20,000. If your audience would like to know more about where to find and pitch those 20,000 events, you can feel free to reach out to me at speakandstandout.com and go to the contact page. But for everybody here, I'll throw my email and information in the chat. And if you would like to be on my show, I do live coaching, speaker breakthrough sessions. And you can come on the show and we can talk about what is holding you back from leveraging those 20,000 speaking opportunities that are happening every single day. Thank you very much, Adam.
Yeah, and I got to shout out Lori Ann's show. Like I refer her show a lot because being in the podcasting game, I talk to a lot of podcasters. A lot of people are like, I want to get booked to speak on stages. I'm like, you got to listen to her show. Always great feedback. So definitely check her out. Get on her schedule for one of those episodes where you can come on and her stuff is excellent. High recommend. All right.
Adam, I'm going to have to send you my SpeakPipe link so that you can say just that.
Well, yes, you will. I'll fill it out. 100%. All right, let's go to Bernie. Go ahead, Bernie. Unmute that mic.
All right. Well, thanks, Adam. Hey, everyone. And again, Adam, congratulations on episode 500. That's quite a feat. Looking forward to the next 500. I am the host of the Midlife Fulfilled podcast. As of this recording, I published episode 195. So I'm knocking on the door 200, Adam. I'm chasing your record.
Yeah.
And I talk about really empowering people to thrive in midlife across what I call the 5 pillars: health, fitness, career, relationships, and legacy, so that you don't have to try to boil the ocean when you're seeking fulfillment. Go after each of those pillars one by one. I feature people across a variety of topics. I do maximum episodes, which are expertise episodes, but I'm really after guests who do vulnerable conversation episodes. I think the name kind of speaks for itself. People who are willing to share a vulnerable story about their midlife journey. So I'm looking for people who are interested in doing that. And I've got a website, midlifefulfilled.com. Everything is there, including downloads, including health and fitness download that I just recently did. And then in a few weeks, I'm publishing my annual 2024 research, which I'm super excited about. So again, Bernie Borges, midlifefulfilled.com.
All right. Always great to see my pod pal, Bernie. All right, Megan Shields, you get the mic next, and I want you to sound as cool as Bernie. That's your challenge.
Oh, I don't know if I can do that. That's a lot of pressure for like going. Okay. Hi, everybody. It's great to see you. Good to see some familiar faces. I'm Megan Shields. I am the CEO of Chime House Media. We do Facebook and Instagram ads for podcasters. I have a private podcast at the moment that is a few episodes. So it's kind of like a limited series. I don't have a weekly show or anything yet, but eventually down the pipeline. So that being said, I love to guest on shows. Generally, the shows that I look to guest on have an audience of business owners or entrepreneurs, typically that are online coaches, course creators, service providers in that realm. I love to talk all things online business, Facebook ads, advertising, growth, marketing, all that kind of stuff, entrepreneurship, mindset, whatever, all the things that roll into that. So yeah, if you or anyone you know is looking for somebody to talk on those things who is super fun and cool, let me know.
Super fun and cool indeed. And for those of you that listened to the previous episode, which I believe is episode 503, I gave Megan a big shout out as the go-to resource in the podcasting space for Facebook and Instagram ads. So if you listen to that and like, oh, I need to connect with this woman and you haven't yet. Yeah. So those of you that are here recording this with me, that episode hasn't gone live for you yet, but in the podcast verse, as this episode goes live, it'll be episode 503, which will be the one right before this one where I gave now Megan's gonna have to listen to that one as well. That's the only reason I said that. Now she's like, I got to go listen to this.
I definitely will.
So, all right, let's keep it going here. James Early, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hey, Adam, thank you. I'm James Early, and I'm the host of the Bible Speaks to You podcast. I've had about 253 episodes now, so I'm halfway to where you are, Adam.
Awesome.
That feels pretty good. My show is about getting back to what Jesus actually said. It's not a theological debate. It's not arguing over doctrine. It's learning to think, love, and pray like Jesus did. I have a guest once a month, and I would love to have, if you know someone who is not focusing so much on the doctrinal debate stuff, but really what it means to be a follower of Jesus, that would be a perfect guest for me. And I talk about everything. I'd love to be a guest on other shows where they are more interested in that sort of thing. I talk about Jesus's mindset a lot. What does it mean to really actually forgive someone? What does it mean to watch out, love your enemies? That's a really tough one, probably. What does it mean to forgive yourself? That sort of thing. So the best way to get a hold of me is my website, thebiblespeakstoyou.com. Just click the contact tab. I would love to hear from you.
All right, great to see you. James, one of my oldest pod pals here. He's been coming to Pod Pal Zoom parties for a few years now. It's awesome. All right.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. All right, Grace, go ahead and unmute yourself.
All right. Hello, everybody. I am Grace Stevens, and my podcast is Balance Your Teacher Life. It is a podcast for educators and to help them, I don't want to say overcome burnout, maybe avoid burnout, how to thrive in teaching without sacrificing their personal life. So a lot of mindset, setting boundaries. It's all about personal development. I was an educator for 20 years. I'm also a life coach. So it combines those two things. I am so happy to guest on other people's podcasts. Anybody who has a podcast in the education space, obviously, teacher self-care is a big hot topic. So I can talk about that. I primarily talk about two things. One is about setting the healthy boundaries, and the other is bringing joy in your classroom. So that's it. I can be found at gracestevens.com, and that's Stevens with a V. And that's it. Balance your teacher life. Thank you.
All right. Very important topic. Out there doing good things there, Grace. Let's keep it going with Cheryl. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, I feel like the virgin here. I just released my 43rd episode in 43 weeks. So
well done.
My podcast is Teen Minds Redefined, and for parents of anything teenagers. So the bad news is it's not them, it's you. And the good news is I'm here to help. So I have experts come in and we talk about anything that you have to navigate through your teenage years, high school, disabilities, diagnosis, co-parenting, divorce, and all of that wonderful stuff. 25 years spec ed specialist here. So a little bit of experience in high school. I am always looking to guests to speak to anything about special education, high school, parenting, teens. And I'm always looking for guests to just talk about literally anything that has to do with your teenagers. And that's it. You can get me at CherylPankers.com or Cheryl A. Pankhurst on all the socials.
All right. Thanks, Cheryl. Congrats on consistency. 43 out of 43. That's huge. That is huge.
Thank you.
All right. Let's go to Kimberly. Kimberly, go ahead.
Hey, Adam, thank you. This is my first time to be here, so hello, everybody. I have a podcast called The Naked Vibe Show, and it is about aligning creative energy so that you can finish that book or the song or the podcast, whatever it is that you want to dive into creatively and have things that are holding you back. But it also has everything to do with finding your confidence to speak out, to speak your truth, and to do that from a place where your own creativity inspires and uplifts others so that it becomes a reciprocal activity. I do solo episodes, and then I also do provocative conversations with musicians and other creatives where they can share their adventures and their vulnerabilities, because a lot of times those people are seen as everything is perfect and going great, but you're seeing, that little moment where they're on stage, but there's a whole lot going on behind the scenes, and you go, oh, wow, that's just a person just like me. So those are fun conversations. I have a links page, go.kimberlykane.com, where you can find all the things. That's Kimberly, L-Y, and Kane, C-A-I-N. And I am a certified Remo Drums health rhythms facilitator. So I use music in coaching a lot to help people dial into their creative energy and align with their highest selves. So I love to guest on podcasts, yes, vulnerable stories, and anything that helps people be inspired and move forward.
Nice. I noticed the awesome drum apparatus setup you had back behind you with the bongos and the drums. Yeah, we're gonna have to have Kimberly play us out. That's one of my favorite things when people don't have like a virtual background. I like to see like what they got going on.
I should have brought one of my cajones up here. I use that a lot.
Let's go. One of my favorite podcast moments ever was with my health show. I interviewed Michael Hyatt, who's like somebody I read all of his books, and I couldn't believe he actually came on my show. And he had this like in this thing in a glass case, and it looked like a recorder, like a flute recorder thing that we played in like 5th grade where we play hot cross buns, And I was like, Michael Hyatt, what is that behind you? And he goes, that's a Native American flute. And I said, Michael Hyatt, all I can really imagine is you dancing around in your underwear, having a few extra alcoholic beverages, playing that Native American flute. And he started laughing, and I was like, maybe it's happened. I don't know. Michael Hyatt's pretty straight laced though. So, all right, let's finish up strong here with Astrid. Go ahead and tell us about your show.
Well, hello, everyone. So nice to be here. My name is Astrid, and I'm the host of the podcast Travel and Work with Human Design. And I invite you to join me on this adventure that's called personal development. Travel and work is metaphorical because we look to the lens of human design at travel and money, mindset, and business and lifestyle by design. But it's also about inviting you to travel on this inner journey and to do the inner work. And that brings us personal growth and clarity around our purpose and fulfillment. So in my podcast, I do hot seat coaching. I answer human design questions, like I mentioned, and from listeners, and I explain how this tool can be practically used in your daily life. And I also interview entrepreneurs and digital nomads, so I can bring some travel to your ears and some life stories. And I trust that listening to this podcast, you are given the validation and permission to be your authentic self and soak up some inspiration on how to do life a little bit differently by hearing these conversations with people who live their lives on their own terms. So also, if you are looking for a human design expert, I am happy to guest on other podcasts as well. And if you're curious and want to learn a little bit more about human design, yeah, I have these hot seat coaching style episodes. So I can dive on the spot to see what insights this tool can give you in a podcast episode. So you can find me on palmtreemoments.com if you want to find me, because I'm all about having no stress. So whenever I think of a palm tree, I have no stress. So I think we all need a little bit more palm tree moments.
Yes. Love it. Love it. Okay. I've got a compliment for all of you. That was a great round of podcast or speed dating. Sometimes you have people that will like, I almost have to start playing the music because it's like, okay, it's been 5 minutes, or whatever. Like it was, but really well put together, concise. Here's who I am. Here's what I do. Great little like intriguing pitches for your shows and who you have. Like really well done. I was impressed. I've never said that before. So a round of applause for you all. 2 quick notes for me. I never really participate in podcast or speed dating, but I will today. Somebody on Instagram messaged me like, do you ever guest on that? Would you be willing to be a guest on my show? I'm like, yeah, I'm like the cheapest date ever. I'm like, just ask me. And I say, yes, like, let's go. So if you want me to be a guest for some reason, then I will show up and I'll perform to the best of my ability. So just ask me and I'll say yes. The other thing is I think last year I had 6 guests on Podcasting Business School total for the entire year. And this year, it's probably going to be around the same, but I'm looking to do a specific series, and Lorianne knows what I'm about to pitch here. I'm diving into some social media, podcasting specific content. So like, for example, I've already got LinkedIn covered. I'm going to have a LinkedIn expert. That's one of my clients come on and do like a LinkedIn audit of my LinkedIn profile as episode 1. I'm going to apply what they recommend as a podcaster, and then I'm going to record an episode 2 with the results of what I've learned from applying what they asked me to do. So really, they're going to get 2 episodes. I'm looking for experts that are also podcasters for like TikTok, Threads, Facebook, whatever social media platforms. You guys can reach out. You can hit me up on podcastingbusinessschool@gmail.com or Podcasting Business School on Instagram, and just let me know but it's got to be somebody that's a social media expert, but also can talk through a podcasting perspective, how our podcasters going to maximize this platform, and do kind of an audit of what I'm doing. I'll do whatever you tell me to do, and then I'll report back on it. So you'll get 2 episodes. That's my ask for today. And I'm excited to put that content out in the near future. All right. I appreciate you all. Appreciate you all showing up. Appreciate you all listening in. And with that, I'm going to send everybody out into the world wishing you health, happiness, and many downloads. We will see you next time. Breaking news, Pod Pals. My online business academy for podcasters will be launching on Tuesday, October 1st, 2024. This is the only online business academy just for podcasters that want to leverage their show to build an online business and get more clients. If you're interested in earning meaningful income every month with a podcast-first marketing strategy, this membership is for you. And this membership offer is backed by my $5,000 guarantee. I'm guaranteeing that you'll gain at least $5,000 in new revenue and new clients within your first 12 months of being in the academy. And if you don't, I'm going to keep coaching you within the academy for free until you do. I'm capping the membership at 50 total podcasters, and the membership price goes up after the first 20 podcasters sign up. Use the link in the show notes or head on over to www.podcastingbusiness.school to get on the waitlist to join. You'll have the first chance to grab one of those 50 roster spots and get the best pricing. Everything's launching on October 1st, so grab your spot on the waitlist and get ready to take your podcast-focused online business to the next level.